Alright, hey, how's it going? I see you have your walls up already, but remember in the email and then from looking at your file, I can see what you mean by saying you weren't sure on um, how to modify or put the correct layers or colors into your project. So what you want to do, what we can do is we can select a wall. For this, for instance, I'm going to select this center wall right here just in the middle of your project. And we're going to go over here to the top left side where it says basic wall, and we're going to click on edit type. All right, we'll be clicking on edit type right here. Once we select that, we have the ability to go and modify our walls. Personally, what I like to do, I like to duplicate my wall right here. What this does is this allows you to keep the basis wall or keep the generic wall that Revit already has pre-made, and then you can use these to duplicate them and make your own. That way, if you ever need to go back to those default ones for whatever reason, you already have them there. So in this case, I would put my interior wall or my interior, and if I can put the size, and if I wanted, I can even put a color. So I'll put my interior, and I believe the project asked for an eggshell um, wall color. So let's just say eggshell. In this case, I'm going to show you how to do it on um, putting a material on different sides. And the same concept goes for exterior and interior, so on and so forth. I just want to show you with a generic wall just so you can get a decent understanding. Alright, so once we renamed it, we can go ahead and hit OK. And you notice if we go into the type drop down, the wall we started with is still there, and it's created a new wall, which is the one we just duplicated. Now, one thing you want to do is once you create this, you don't want to just hit escape and exit out of the prompt, because it will delete this wall automatically, in the sense that it will pretend it was never created. So if you are going to exit out of it, you want to hit OK. We're not going to do that right now though. We're going to go in and edit our exteriors finishes, or our finishes on our wall. So what I want you to go do is go to the type parameters under the value column and structure row. We're going to click on this big button that says edit, and inside here you'll see the makeup of our walls. You'll see the type of wall, the name of it, the thickness of it, its resistance factor, which means the resistance of um, heat or cool temperatures transferring through this wall depending on the different types of weather and all that. And then it's thermal mass. All right. Um, you're gonna notice under all that information, we're gonna have a layer area, and this layer area has an exterior side on top and an interior side on the bottom. All right. So this helps a lot when you're doing your exterior walls. That way you know which side is which. Um, So once we got that, we can set up our walls. I personally like to do my basic walls. If they're not a firewall, I like to make them 1/2 inch thick gypsum board on both sides. Or anytime I use gypsum board, the only time I use 5/8 is when I'm creating firewalls. Once again, preference is up to the actual architect. Um, once again, I'm just putting my preference. I will not discount points for you having 5/8 instead of 1/2. So you can change your thicknesses. I have my material area and my function area. My function area is going to show me it's a finish, and then I have a material being gypsum wall. I'll click where it says gypsum wall on the top closer to the exterior side, and I'll click these 3 dots here. Those 3 dots are going to bring up a menu. This menu right here, let me expand it so you can get a better visual of it. Alright, now here you're going to see some things. You're going to see some materials that are listed, and you're going to see some things that can affect how that material looks. So first things first, I want to once again duplicate my materials because I don't want to modify what Revit already has preset. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it my eggshell and then leave it gypsum wallboard. Reason I like to use my is whenever I'm looking for stuff that I've created, me personally, I just type in my into the search engine and all the stuff that say my will come up. For example, if I put my on top, it isolates only what has the word my in it. And I know everything that I've created would pop up there. So again, preference not needed. Alright, so from there, we go to our graphics tab, and I want you to make sure that use render appearance is checkmarked. It's imperative that you have that checkmark, that way you can see your walls and how they're affected in real life as you're creating them in the software. Alright, for the most part we can all of this leave all of this the same. I want to go to appearance tab now, and then in my appearance tab I want to come over here to these areas where you have two buttons. Alright, you're going to see a duplicate this asset and a replace this asset. You're going to want to duplicate this asset. Alright, before I click on the button, I want to show you on the right side of this little area, on the left side of this area, you're going to have a little hand with a number 2 on it. What that means is there are two objects or two other materials that are referring to this specific material. So if you modify this one, it'll affect the other. We don't want that. We want it to stay isolated to where if I only modify this one, it will affect nothing else. So I want to click that button that says duplicate this asset, and you'll see that it'll turn to 0. Now it says this is isolated. It is not dependent on anything. It is the parent. It is essentially, think about it as a parent file, so nothing is dependent on it. Alright, now that I have that, I can come and change my images. I have my image. I can click here on this button here that has the text highlighted, and I can get some pictures. I'm going to change my view to be thumbnails, and I get some textures that Revit already has preset. Alright, now I doubt it's going to have the eggshell, but it does have some materials that are preset, so you can kind of go through this and figure out what you like. Now, what I want to do is I want to go and cancel out of this, leave this area here, and I'm going to go into the internet, and I am going to bring this over so you can see it. I am going to say eggshell paint. I'm going to look for some images that have an eggshell paint that I actually like. I'm going to look for something similar to this one that's just plain. It doesn't have any pictures of any symbols or cans next to it. It's a very simple color. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to save image as. And I would recommend you save this to wherever you have your model, because that way you can link to it a lot easier. And I'm going to name it eggshell. And just for this instance, I'm going to put it on my desktop since I'm not going to be keeping this. But I would recommend you put this in your folder wherever you have your drawing or your Revit files. That way it links a lot easier. Alright, so I'm going to hit save. I'm going to minimize this internet screen. And now here, I'm going to come back to this image button. And instead, I'm going to go to the folder where I saved it. Select the image. Make sure it's a JPEG. Hit open. And as you can see, now it has changed the color to the image and to the circle here. Here, if you don't like the way it looks on a circle, you can click this drop down, change the scene to a wall since we're using it as a wall, and you can see how it looks on a wall. Alright, go ahead and hit apply. Okay, and you can see that it should have changed this one here. Why did it change? That's not the one I selected. I wanted my eggshell. Hit OK. Now my eggshell there is shown, and we're going to leave this one the same just so we can see the difference of them. Alright, I'm going to hit OK, OK. Alright. Well, that's basically it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.